Tonight, minority challenge claims by government that it has paid all arrears owed ECG, with the ECG now in fact owing government 500 million cedis surplus electricity bills, including the COVID-19 electricity relief cost.
All government bills with ECG had been paid and government had a credit balance of 500 million Ghana cedis with ECG.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion. It's also brought to you by Gasem Cement. The nation building Vodafone the future is exciting. Ready. Now, the Energy Minister, John Pitamu, today disclosed that government has for once in a long time paid up all its debt to the electricity company of Ghana, including the cost of free electricity, part of the COVID-19 alleviation measures. In fact, the Energy Minister says it is ECG that rather now owes government 500 million cedis. He says the ECG's indebtedness to government could reach over a billion cedis. Now, the minority in Parliament says the claims by the Energy Minister are false. More from them shortly. But first, listen to John Pitamu when he addressed the media today as part of the COVID-19 briefing at the Information Ministry.
That the government has already made some payment to ECG as a result of the COVID-19 subsidy regime that was introduced for a period of 3 months. You recollect that His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo did broadcast to the nation that as part of alleviation strategy during the period of the COVID, Ghanaians are expected to enjoy some relief from utility companies. And I'm happy to announce that that process is currently ongoing, and customers throughout the country have demonstrated and testified that this relief from the government is actually real. I also want to use the opportunity again this morning to give you a quick update on efforts made by government to clear some of its outstanding debts owed to ECG, or the Electricity Company of Ghana. It is a fact, which I know, and most of you are aware, that on assumption of office, this administration was confronted with a huge indebtedness to the Electricity Company of Ghana. For your information, as of December 2016, when the NDC left office, then under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the total bill owed ECG by government of Ghana at that time was 2.63 billion Ghana cedis. The NPP government, on assumption of office, ensured that it was current on all the bills incurred during its tenure from 2017 to date. Ladies and gentlemen, on the average, the government under His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has paid 2 billion annually to cover its bills with the Electricity Company of Ghana. Today, at the end of 2019, all government bills with ECG had been paid and government had a credit balance of 500 million Ghana cedis with ECG. Ladies and gentlemen, with an average bill payment of about 100 million per month, the credit balance of over 500 million Ghana cedis is enough and more than enough to pay for government bills from January to April 2020. It is also interesting to note that an unreconciled additional payment of 4.14 billion cedis has also been made to various fuel suppliers of power producers, which is yet to be credited to government under the ongoing reconciliation exercise. And so if this amount, the 4.14 billion, added to a credit of almost about 500 million, which government has already, if this reconciliation is done, then government is in a comfortable position to inform reliable consumers of electricity that the sector is gradually getting out of its woes.
Thankfully, I've just been joined on the telephone line by the Energy Minister, John Peter Amewu. Also joining me tonight is another John Jinapor. He's a former Deputy Energy Minister. Mr. Amewu, thank you for joining us on Top Story.
Thank you, Evans, and good evening to your listeners.
I want to start with you first. So just for clarity, if the reconciliation is done, ECG may owe you almost 5 billion cedis.
More than that.
More than that, okay. Specifically, when it comes to the COVID-19 tariff relief, how much have we paid to the ECG?
The COVID relief, as you are aware, is for 3 months period. The total bill is over 1 billion Ghana cedis. As of this week, the ECG received its first payment of 243.937 million Ghana cedis. VRA received its payment of 55.477 million Ghana cedis. NETCO received its first payment of 46.973 million Ghana cedis. Collectively, for the 3 sectors that government have to pay, government has already released an amount equivalent to 346 million Ghana cedis to these 3 agencies under the COVID relief support to Ghanaians.
And if I'm correct, that would mean the only month outstanding will be this month, the month of May.
No. It's supposed to be paid in 3 installments for 3 months.
Okay.
Don't forget the bill is in March, and the president directed the effective day to be in April. But the people in April will get a relief in May in June, and June in July. So that is how the 3 installment is going to be paid. So for the first installment, that's for the period of May, that has been paid. And this is exactly what we are witnessing now.
Oh, so May has already been paid for those enjoying the relief.
Precisely.
Your other friend and colleague, John Jinapor, is on the line. And Mr. Jinapor, you challenge some of the claims made today. You're challenging some of the historical figures as has been put out today by the Energy Minister.
Certainly so. I think that even, first of all, I think that as ministers, we ought to be factual, we ought to be accurate, and we ought to put out the right information. I have forwarded to you a document from ECG addressed to the chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Mines and Energy, dated April 10th, 2018. You have a copy of that document. That document was signed by Engineer Samuel Boachiapia. He was the managing director. And I refer you to page 4 of the document. You look at summary of all ECG debtors, MDAs, that is ministries, departments, and agencies. The total amount there, as captured in page 4, on column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 row 2 is 548,798,426.80 pesos. That is the balance for MMDAs as at December 2016. I am quoting from the source itself. And so for Mr. Peter Mewu to make a claim that when he took office, ECG was indebted to 2-point-something billion, it's only false and factually inaccurate. He should produce the primary document that confirms that we owed ECG over 2 billion. That cannot be true. In addition to that, go and read the document as audited by KPMG. And I refer to the prospectus document that was prepared in October 2017 by ESLA PLC. There's the total amount, the whole energy sector. And this is what culminated in the establishment of the energy sector levies, which Mr. Mewu cleverly decides that he won't talk about. He will talk about the so-called liability, but he won't talk about the inflows that he inherited. The total liability was 9.4 billion. And I refer to page 17 of the ESLA PLC document, Summary of Energy Sector Debt and Lenders. If you go to the pie chart, as at August 31st, they presented this to Parliament, 2017. ECG's total liability was 23.3% of this amount. MMDA's, Ghana Water, all the agencies combined, it doesn't even come up to the 2.3 Mr. Mewu is talking about. And so where did he get these figures? Where did Mr. Mewu get these figures?
If you look at that page, the page you mentioned, they have MDA, they have GWC, they have Lifeline subsidy, they have 25% subsidy, STL and NSLT, they have VAT on sub, and if you do the total government debt, it comes to 2.3 billion at the bottom there. Do you see that?
How can Ghana Water Company Limited, a company's debt, be a government of Ghana MMDA debt? How is that possible? No, let's face it. How is that possible? Ghana Water Company Limited. How can its debt, a company's debt, be that of government?
What about the Lifeline subsidy?
I am saying that when you look at MMDAs, there's an amount. When you look at Lifeline subsidy, there's an amount. When you look at Ghana Water, there is an amount. When you look at VAT on subsidy, there's an amount. And I'm saying that all these amounts cannot be liabilities accruing to government of Ghana.
But if Mr. Mewu was clear in he says government liability, that's what was left.
My point is
wasn't that what he referred to when he says when as of December the government debt to ECG was 2.3, which is exactly what the total is on this document.
How can a Ghana Water Company debt be a government debt?
What I ask you what about the Lifeline subsidy, because it's there. What about the public lighting shortfalls 2011-2016? What about VAT on sub?
Let me deal with the issue of Lifeline subsidy. Lifeline subsidy is a pass-through in terms of the tariff arrangement. That is why we have what you call cross-subsidy. And so if there's a cross-subsidy, it ought to cancel out and the net effect ought to be zero. That aside, I have a second issue. I sent you a document, ECG's financial statement from 2010 all the way to 2020. If you look at the latest 2017 document, 2019 document, and the report ends with 2019, which I have sent to you. In 2016, ECG made a profit. That is an established fact. When we were handing over to Mr. Peter Mewu, ECG made an operating profit of 583 million. Under the NPP administration in 2017, they went to a loss of 642. Under the NPP, the loss jumped to 2 billion 520 in 2018. Under Mr. Peter Mewu, as Minister of Energy, he claims that they have turned around the utilities and they are doing well. The operating loss is 4,446,000,000 under Mr. Peter Amewu. The third issue, I refer you to the document in Parliament. The title is Report of the Finance Committee on the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2020. Go to the appendices and read the pages. Because we cannot pay as a government, because we can't even pay for electricity bills, we've had to borrow 5 billion. I can quote the exact amount for you. We've had to borrow 5,144,602,689 cedis, 0.01 pesos. These are debts sitting on the national account because you have run down the system so much so that even common payments you cannot make. And so you've had to come with a supplementary appropriations bill. And the title is Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2020. It was presented to Parliament in March 2020. Because you have mismanaged the system. Because you cannot manage the system, we've had to borrow over 5 billion in order to shore up. This is a liability for the people of Ghana, which has to be paid one day.
Let me bring in.
So when Mr. Peter Amewu says that the sector has improved, go and check their balance sheet. And I refer you to their balance sheet, audited account. The liabilities have moved up.
And this audited account is dated. What's the date on that document?
They've audited 2016. They've audited 2017. Parliament has been presented with 2018 and 2019 accounts.
Yeah, but Mr. Amewu refers to payments up until May, in fact.
I am talking about their financial statement. The financial statement tells you the position of the company.
Yeah, but he says that government has cleared this entire debt to the point where ECG, as of now...
So let me mention the amount to you and compare that to the amount Mr. Amewu says they have paid. He mentions 2 billion, is that not it?
Yes, annually.
Yes. The total liability as at the end of December 2019 is 14 billion 950 million 597. And so despite Mr. Peter Amewu's claim that he is paying 2 billion annually, ECG's liabilities has increased astronomically to 14.9 billion. Let him challenge these figures.
Let me bring him in, Mr. Amewu. Hello, Mr. Amewu.
Yeah, Evan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Your reaction to the claims made by the former deputy minister?
Well, I'll not be surprised about his reactions because these are things that he thinks are not doable. It takes a dedicated and willing government to think big and do certain things that they think is undoable. He couldn't believe it because it's something nobody will believe, and so I don't doubt what he's saying. But I just want to ask one question: who owns Ghana Water Company Limited? Ivan.
Ghana Water Company is owned by, yes, you say?
It's 100% owned by government. So, if Ghana Company is owing ECG and government clears that debt, it's not supposed to be a debt government cleared. The bill in 2009 was 139 million. In 2011 was 214 million. Government bill in 2012 was 239 million. Government bill in 2013 is 352 million. Government bill in 2014 is 648 million. Government bill in 2015 was 824 million. Government bill in 2016 was over 900 million. Government bill in 2017 is 1.1 billion. Government bill in 2018, 900 million. Government bill in 2019, in 2010, government paid 179 million. In 2011, government paid 242 million. In 2012, government paid 143 million. In 2013, government paid 31 million. Look at it. In 2014 and 2015, government paid nothing to ECG. In 2016, government paid 292 million. These are facts and on record. In 2017, government paid 1 billion. In 2018, government paid 365 million. In 2019, government paid 2.164 billion. In 2020, government makes two payments. The first payment was 2.5 billion, and then the other payment, which is made recently, 4.1 billion, which is yet to be reconciled. Now, if you add all these payments that have been made by government, especially taking into consideration payment made from 2018 to 2020, you will recollect that when we came to government, this 2.0 billion that we're talking about, that was indebtedness by government to ECG, was government as a collective agency, was government as a collective entity. We were not considering government as only the MMDA. Not at all. If you add all these bills are bills on government that government needs to pay to ECG. And this is exactly what this government has done. I don't know where he's quoting those figures from. What I advise my good friend to do is that evidences are there for everybody to see. Walk straight into ECG or any of these agencies and find out. These payment records are there. I have a clear evidence of this payment. I can let you have it. The record he was talking about in 2018, I don't know where he's quoting those data from. The reliable data I have is the current data that has been reconciled. And the payment indicators are clear for everybody to see. I know he will challenge it, as I stated earlier on, because these are things that they doubt. They never believe any government will be able to do this. Evans, I want to tell you, this sector under His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is pegged to recover within the next 3 years. The energy sector recovery program that we have put in place is addressing all the problems they created within the energy sector. I am happy today that he's sitting down reading somewhere and he's having the lights on for the past 2-3 years before we came into power. This would not have been possible. And it takes a government with high level of management, high level of efficiency to be able to make sure that we have a stable and reliable power supply. We will do it. Ghanaians are the people who will judge. Those who go to their rooms and they put on the switch and have their lights on will be able to determine whether there is a stability of power or whether the power system is gradually coming in terms of halting the deficiencies and the ineffective management that we have faced. The system will be addressed under His Excellency. And this is exactly what we are working towards. So, Evans, these are facts. As I speak, between 2019 to 2020 today, the debt on government collectively was about 6.5 billion. The payment that we have made to date far exceeds that. And that is why I said we still have a credit of almost 500 million. A recent payment of 4.1 billion that has been done is yet to be reconciled. So we are on track, and I want to assure you, my good friend John can come to my office or visit ECG's office and demand for this payment. He shouldn't be reading of past records. All that he's talking about is historic. We are talking about current available information that we have. These evidences are there for everybody to see. What justification do we have to come and lie to this public that government has cleared the debt? There wouldn't be any justification in telling lies. So these are real things. These are facts and factual, and these facts are there for everybody to see. I call on my good friend to walk to the ECG and demand for this information for his own record.
Just for clarity, the debts that government has paid, was it cash payments or deductions from what ECG owes?
No, these were direct payments made to PPA, power supply, and some payment made directly to ECG. Don't forget, ECG, under its power purchasing agreement, are mandated to do collections at the Bena tip and therefore pay for capacity charges, of the power that, they sold to the various consumers. But this has become debt because ECG, for several reasons that we know, had not been able to live up to this expectation. So these are some of the debts that has built on government. Apart from that, government's own records, past records, of not being able to pay some of its debts to some of the MMDAs, just as he been mentioned, some of the companies that are 100% owned by government. these are debts that have accumulated, which need to be cleared by government. So these are the debts that we're talking about.
I'm grateful. That is John John Peter Amewu there. Let me bring in John Jinapo. Mr. Jinapo, he says his office doors are open to you to get the current data on the payments and the clearing of the debts. Is this something that is a challenge you take him up on?
I think that Mr. Amewu must read the documents that are submitted to him. I will be very willing to engage him and to help him explain some of these documents to him. Because he even doesn't know these documents exist. He says that he doesn't know where I'm quoting from. I'm giving you documents from ESLA PLC, which is a public document. I'm quoting from a parliamentary document in terms of the appropriation, which is a parliamentary document. It's an official document. I forwarded to you, Evans, a document that you yourself referred to. In that document, check whether in 2016 payments were made or not. This is an official document signed by the ECG managing director. Mr. Amewu claims that he has certain documents that he hasn't even made available to you. Ministers don't behave that way. You can't sit and write your own figures and make claims that you pay. He says that we paid nothing. I refer you to the 2016 annual report on the management of the energy sector levies account, presented by Ken Ofori-Atta, not me. And I'm quoting from page 14. Every amount, every figure I have quoted, I have demonstrated ample evidence in terms of the primary document. Mr. Amewu doesn't generate information. It only depends on information from ECG, from the finance ministry, and from other relevant bodies. And so when you have the opportunity to address Ghanaians, it's only proper that you quote from the primary source document. But
do you, just a quick one, do you admit though that when it comes to the most current information on these debts, you don't have that?
I have the most current in terms of end of year 2019, and I've told you that the outstanding debt or liability to ECG is 14 billion.
Yes, but
he says that he has been paying 2 billion.
But I'm talking about the last since January to date, which he says
so
what he has.
That to scrutiny.
Yeah, and that's why I asked you whether he says his doors are open, you can come and reconcile.
I am saying that as of March 2020, when the minister appeared before Parliament, he indicated that these debts were sitting in the books. And so Mr. Amewu can only be peddling falsehood. Because if there is a liability of 14 billion, and you claim that you are paying 2 billion per annum, how are you able to pay that 14 billion within 4 months? Evans will subject that to logic, and he even makes a categorical statement that in 2016 we paid nothing. And I'm quoting from the energy sector levies account that in 2016 we paid more than 1 billion. It is captured in the document, and we left an amount of 234 million sitting in the account. We bequeathed that to Mr. Peter Amewu and the NDP.
I'm grateful, John Jinapo. The earlier you had John Peter Amewu, who is the energy minister. John Jinapo is a former deputy electricity tariff initiative. I want to hear from you. As you've heard the minister say, they've made a payment already to the ECG for May, and those of you who already gone in for your bill, your both prepaid credit onto your phone, or if you are postpaid also, I'm willing to hear from you. Share your experience with me with your electricity situation where you are, and whether you've enjoyed the initiative, the free electricity as part of the COVID alleviation measures that the president announced. If you have, let me hear from you. Send me a WhatsApp 0244 340 437. Newsnight starts right now.